Just before I start, guys, I would like to say that, remember the last video I did? I was waiting for a package on Father's Day. Yeah, well, the carrier herpes, yeah. They were 2 days late. I finally got it yesterday. What a surprise from my lads. This stuff, Scottish whiskey, cask, 56% proof. I'm frightened to look at it. However, as soon as Liverpool win the league, trust me on this one, and it could be very, very shortly, I will endeavour to taste that stuff, because I waited. I missed it on Father's Day. Not their problem, it wasn't their fault. My two sons sent me it, but you know what? You know where it's going, don't you? The last video I did on Sunday, Father's Day, has gone down very, very well. Lots of views on it, lots of great comments, very, very few negative. So I'm glad it was enjoyable. The one before that, I just want to quickly touch on, to do with medical training. Remember, I'm going back now to in my day, what we did day to day when we weren't on operations. But back in the camp in Hereford, there's always something to do, courses to be done, and why, and I'll come on to that in a second. The medical side that I covered last time, the day before, the one I did before Father's Day, the 21st, it touched on, as I say, medical, and it helped me to be there at the right time to help save the lives, or possibly save the lives, of some of my colleagues in the same troop as me, in the same squadron. And what a great feeling that was. You get a chance to do medical training these days, you take it. The way the world's going nuts, you never know when you're going to need it. Trust me on that. And it's great to be able to do that. So the courses and training I did, actually, before I come on to it, it's all in that book. The regiment, 15 years in the SAS. I'll come on to that in a second. I'm not going to do a long-winded intro on that. But if you go to my website, www.rusty-firmin.org/shop, you'll see both my books, Go, 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 the regiment, 15 years in the SAS. Behind me, the resolution, the picture, the print, they're all for sale on my website. Help yourself. But the regiment is what I'm talking about, and some of the stories relate to the stories in the book, but the book is in a bit more detail, obviously, because of the time frame. So there it is, that's my webpage. Also, we've got a Facebook page to look at, which is SAS, Special Air Service, Militaria, Collectors and Facts page. Looking to get as many people onto that as we can. And to be honest, it's free to subscribe. So if you're interested, you don't need to have been in the military. You know, when you ask to come on the page, we have a look at everybody. And of course, yeah, we've had a few waltz on there, but you know what? They don't last 5 minutes and they're gone. So just bear that in mind. It's there. It's informative. You can purchase stuff off other individuals. And the good news is we're there to bonify it, which they don't like. However, that's the way it is. So we've got that going. And of course, we've got the YouTube channel, which is doing extremely well. Feel free to subscribe to that. That is free. And of course, all it is, Rusty Firmin, SAS TV. Have a look at it. and that's where these videos go. And then if you can subscribe and get other subscribers, that's really helpful. So today what I'm going to talk about now is really my experiences in the desert environment, and I'll be talking about Oman in particular, and why, and what I learned, and a little bit of history thrown in for information to the people who'd like to know, and I will explain that as best I can. Northern Ireland at the moment, for those who keep asking, it's a separate story, and that one will be done, but it'll be done when I'm ready. Okay, so bear it in mind. This is today talking about Oman. And for those who remember, way back in 1972, there was a battle. In those days, it was classed as a secret battle. The Battle of Mirbat. Right down the tip of Oman. In Mirbat, there was a fort, and it had 9 members of the SAS there. B squadron, my squadron. I just wish I'd joined a little bit earlier, and I could have been there alongside them, possibly. So their job was at the fort. That was it, with a 25-pounder, weapons and ammunition that they stood up in. The 25-pounder, I know it inside out because I was in the artillery and I trained on it for a couple of years in Lark Hill. Great old weapon. And of course, 9 of them. Normally you would have a gun crew for that 25-pounder, but on the day they didn't. A separate story again on the bravery of the lads who, when attacked by 200 to 300 plus Adu, okay, the enemy, they held them off. However, 3 of the lads lost their lives, 1 was injured. But what a battle, what an epic battle. So, credit to those guys who once again wore the SAS berry and badge, and quite a feat. And I'm personal friends with the guys that are still alive from that. I'm ex-B squadron, they were B squadron, some of them were in the embassy with me, so we know each other quite well. So that was 1992. What did we do? Well, the guys have trained there in Oman for quite a long time. I've been there a number of times. Obviously, it's a big desert, like deserts are. It's dry. But there's an awful lot you can do. And when you go on these training exercises, you're not going really for a swan. You go in there to put your heart and soul into it. Remember, you've still got people watching you to see if you can perform. And remember, as I said in another one, you don't perform, you're gone. And that has always been the same. So, after you've been there a couple of years, you're still learning. You're still helping others. The types of training we did then, I'll just give you a basic, the basic. Before I ever went there, I was taught Arabic, okay, in the camp in Stirling Lines. Rusty could hardly speak English, let alone Arabic, but they put you on an Arabic basic colloquial course. You knuckle down, you spend all day in the classroom pulling your hair out. I did. Lucky enough it's grown back, but never mind. And of course, it was totally new to me. I used to speak a little bit of German, but this is being taught, force-fed. You will learn. So all day long, and then you think, great, I can go home now. No, it's when you get home, out come the flashcards, as we call them. One side of it is in English, the other side's in Arabic. You then have to learn X number of words, I think somewhere around 100 words for the next day, 50 to 100 words as best you could, because without having the knowledge of what a word meant in particular, or how to pronounce it, roll your R's. But no, seriously, it was hard work. And then the next day when you go in, you have a test to see what you've learned overnight. And this goes on week after week, week after week, until the course is finished. Then I was never an Arabist, okay? I could get by when I used it, but found it totally different. You know, really different. And of course, when you get to the country, the guys we were training with, they want to practice their English on you. So you have to be a bit diplomatic and don't just sod them off. You know, try to use your Arabic to get by and let them try to get by on their English. Double edge. So it wasn't a competition. That's what you have to remember. However, we went there and we did that, armed with our medical knowledge and stuff, hearts and minds. When you go out into the desert, you come across stragglers, you come across little villages, and if you can help them in any way, which we did, a bit of dentistry in the book, you'll love it, medical stuff in the book. And this is whilst we were patrolling with the Baluchi guys, the Baluchistan. They'd have their vehicles, we didn't take ours, we used theirs. And we just get across the desert. And desert navigation is part of the exercise. Learn to, there's no signposts. You know, the camel's only got 2 humps or 1 hump. But the fact is, you've got to be able to navigate over long distances. And of course, nighttime is generally the best time to do that, because I don't remember never seeing stars in the sky in the desert. Get the theodolite out. Practice, one of the experienced guys show you how to find out where you are using the stars. Very interesting. A map is okay, but when you're traveling kilometer after kilometer, sometimes in a straight line, sometimes up and down, you can end up anywhere if you don't watch where you're going. It's simple. However, very interesting. Long days. So that's what we did, in navigation in the desert. Then there was a lot of shooting stuff we went on to with GPMGs. You know, and I've got pictures of when we were there. Ammunition wasn't a problem. As much ammunition as you wanted, and you could get off there and do all your training. Almost spoilt for choice, really. Big open area, no backstops, no plates. This is it. Training for what you might do in the future. So, again, very interesting. So the shooting side of it, and the mortars, learning how to use mortars properly, firing, mock attacks, but all what you would do for real, but in a training scenario. But how else do you learn your job? How else do you learn the ropes? This is what you have to do, exactly like there is on my picture behind. There we are. We didn't get there by luck. Killing house. Okay, shooting live every day, going there to rescue hostages. Could happen in the desert, and did happen in the desert, if you remember, for certain special forces. So we tried to plan for everything, and prepare for what could happen in the future. And what better way to do it than do it for real? And the training, take from me, was reality. Not like the Mickey Mouse stuff you see. It was reality. So yes, that's the type of stuff we do. Go out there for 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it was, and just crack on with it, really. And there was some in-between time. There's nowhere to go, apart from the likes of Thumb Rate, the camp there. Then there was a lot of shooting stuff we went on to with GPMGs, you know, and I've got pictures of when we were there. Ammunition wasn't a problem. As much ammunition as you wanted, and you could get off there and do all your training almost spoilt for choice, really. Big open area, no backstops, no plates. This is it. Training for what you might do in the future. So, again, very interesting. So the shooting side of it, and the mortars, learning how to use mortars properly, firing, mock attacks, but all what you would do for real, but in a training scenario. But how else do you learn your job? How else do you learn the ropes? This is what you have to do, exactly like there is on my picture behind. There we are. We didn't get there by luck. Killing house. Okay, shooting live every day, going there to rescue hostages. Could happen in the desert, and did happen in the desert, if you remember, for certain special forces. So we tried to plan for everything and prepare for what could happen in the future. And what better way to do it than do it for real? And the training, take from me, was reality. Not like the Mickey Mouse stuff you see. It was reality. So yes, that's the type of stuff we do. Go out there for 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it was, and just crack on with it, really. And there was some in-between time. There's nowhere to go, apart from the likes of Thumb Rate, the camp there. Me, John Max, Stew, and a number of the other lads. We've had a snooker table, that I can tell you. And we had a few beers. And of course, we were separated at night time, so we could relax and do what we wanted to do. And generally speaking, there'd be some snooker, a few beers, bed before the next day. Pretty simple, really. And there's nothing complicated. And even then, the old KISS, K-I-S-S, keep it simple, stupid, just makes life easy for everybody. But that was just so the fun side of it as well. And then once we put all that together and you've done your mock attacks and you win the battle, the Rhodesian seconded pilots there flying the Strike Masters in the day. Do you want to come up for a flight? Well, they've got 2 seats, obviously. And the one story that to this day I can never forget is, oh yeah, I'll come. Yeah, Christ, these guys could fly. They fly through everything, and you can see it out the windows side by side. It's like, you feel like you could touch it. And I'm not a scary, easy person, but because I had no control on what it was doing, and this is the safety brief, okay, I'm going to tell you now. Rusty, you see the handle just between your legs under the seat, okay? You keep your hand on that. And if I shout eject, he said I won't be there a second time to shout it. Got it? hairs on my neck. Yes, I got that quite easily. That is the safety brief. I had hold of it, and I could feel myself when we were flying, pulling it slowly to, you know, it was just something I wasn't thinking of. But yeah, I had hold of it, okay. And then I realised that, you know, Christ, don't do that. It's there if you need it. So you'd fly around, but then they let you have control of the aircraft. They'll take it up in the air for you in a safe area. Then you can fly it with him monitoring. However, they do tend to read things while they're flying. It's amazing. The professionals at the job they do, otherwise they wouldn't be seconded to the Omani Special Forces. Simple as that. And then, when it's all done, there's always a piss-up, or used to be nearly always a piss-up somewhere. And of course, there's no exception. When we finished the training, the squadron got together, everybody talking about their experiences, some of them doing cross-training, there's some free-falling going on. There's desert navigation by the likes of us. There's, you know, everything. Every day is full with stuff to do, interesting stuff. Then you play your snooker, you have a beer. At the end, it's a multi-talented piss-up. Some sights, yeah. And there's one drink, to this day, I'm not convinced I know what it was. It was called a Big Boys Milkshake. It had milk in it. I have no idea what else was in it. But you know what? When you woke up the next morning in the searing heat, wow. I've never had it before. And the only time I've ever drank it is while I've been in Oman. And that was in the officers' mess. Yeah, Rusty was in the mess, in the mess, but so were the rest of the guys. And they all knew who they are. Some of them are still with us, some of them aren't. But the memories are there. So I hope that's given you an insight inside 20 minutes or so to what we used to do in the desert. And then think back to those gallant lads at the Battle of Mirbat. They knew what they were doing. Against all the odds, they won. And that's what we're about. Who dares wins.